Why can you not get a conditional job offer from your favorite airline? Is it bad timing, not being qualified, or simply not being good enough? Are there controllable or uncontrollable factors preventing you from becoming a flight attendant? In today's video, I will share 6 things you can leverage or do to get your CJO or your conditional job offer in 2025.
But for now, I won't give it all away, 'cause I don't think I'll stay. No, I can't be the only one who doesn't wanna fall in love. Doesn't wanna
Welcome back to another video, friends. My name is Priscilla, a New York-based flight attendant. Let's jump into it. How to be successful at your flight attendant interview. The tips shared in today's video apply to all interviews involved in the flight attendant hiring process, whether it's in person or virtual. First, use the STAR method when answering questions. The STAR method is an acronym for a structured way of answering questions during flight attendant interview or in any interview, as a matter of fact. The S obviously stands for situation, where you give context or details about the situation or experience you are sharing with the interviewer. This sets the stage for the rest of the steps or the story you're sharing. The T is for task, the specific task or responsibility you had in the situation in question. A is action. What did you do to address or resolve the situation? Finally, R is the result, which is the outcome of the action you took. Responding to interview questions in this manner offers a more direct response, preventing you from possibly over talking like me, who likes to talk, who gets carried away about when sharing stories, and losing the plot of the experience you're sharing during the interview. Keep it short, concise, and straight to the point. Your responses while using the STAR method, although might sound automated, but depending on how you finesse it, it flows fluidly. Personally, at some point, I ended up interviewing with a lot of companies, and what I did personally was that I identified 3 situations from my work life or while I was in college that could easily illustrate my problem-solving skills, my customer service experience, and me being able to deal with difficult situations and team members or coworkers. And I made sure that these stories will be able to show any interviewer as I share using the STAR method, my experience with them, the skills that I highlighted that I know the role that I'm applying for expects me to have some sort of experience in already. You write it down so it's more tangible, and I reviewed it until I could naturally memorize it with a natural thought flow. For example, this was an angry customer situation. Starting off with the situation, in my previous job as lead associate operation, we had an incident where an angry client approached me aggressively about their negative account balance, accused the bank of stealing their money, and threatened to end their business relationship with us. The tax. It was my responsibility to utilize my research and problem-solving skills to identify the source of the charges leading to the account balance discrepancy and to reassure the client that a fund recovery process will be initiated if necessary. What action did I actually take? I accessed the client's transaction history, reviewed all transactions leading to the balance discrepancy, and calmly, patiently confirmed with the client if they recognize each transaction, which they did. As a result, I identified that all transactions were valid, but the processing period was so delayed that the client thought that they had more money or more funds in their account than they actually did. The client appreciated our patience and professionalism in handling the situation and did not terminate their relationship with us. So I hit each point or the key point of each part of the story, making sure that the person you're interviewing with actually understands the story. It just gives a better or clear way to share your thoughts without being all over the place. The other thing you can do also before you go for your interviews, whether it's in person or virtual, is that do mock interviews. Let family, friends, somebody ask you questions or whatnot, or go through the interview process flow with you and then see how best you respond to those questions. The whole point of it is that it gives you practice, first of all, so that you can naturally memorize these experiences that you intend to share. Obviously, at some point, you do have to be able to think on your feet as well, even using the STAR method as somebody who's going through the flight attendant hiring process. process, leverage your resume. A general rule of thumb is always to tailor your resume or your CV to suit the specific role you're applying for. The same applies here. When going through the flight attendant application process, review the job description thoroughly. Don't just apply, y'all, and just put any kind of CV there. The CV that you are using to apply to Walmart should not be the CV you're going to be using to apply for the flight attendant position. Identify key expectations for the role and tailor your resume or CV to highlight these expectations. Some of these expectations may include you being safety conscious, having customer service or experience skills, being a team player, being able to work independently, having problem solving skills, and being result oriented. So at the end of the day, if you're going through the job description of the flight attendant role and you notice that they're highlighting certain skills and experiences that they want you to have, it is your job, it is your responsibility, or in this case, it is in your best interest to go back to your resume or your CV and illustrate things that you did in the various work experiences that you have that will reflect or highlight or shed more light onto these skills. At the end of the day, when you're going through this hiring process, the goal is to get to the next step. The goal is to get to training. The goal is to get your CJO. So you cannot let these little things become a hurdle between you moving to the next step. The least you can do is to start off with a good resume, y'all, in order to be successful at your next flight attendant interview or for 2025. Market yourself. You have to sell yourself. How you present and position yourself or your brand is very important. As you're walking into that event day or that in-person interview, even doing the online or virtual interview, you are presenting your brand. You are your brand, and how you position and present yourself is very, very important. Whenever you speak, whatever you do, you're showing your brand. You're presenting yourself. You're selling yourself one way or the other. The question is, are you going to do it properly or not? You have to try as much as possible to present yourself in a manner you want to be perceived. I get it. Everybody's perception of you is beyond your control to a large extent, but the least you can do is to set the ball rolling by how you show up. Obviously, it's not guaranteed because there are a lot more nuances when it comes to people's perception of you. However, you can at least do your part. This includes your outfit, being professionally dressed. I know everybody's personality is different, but sometimes I feel like people forget that when you're applying for a position, certain positions require certain outlook. They require certain individuals to be able to carry themselves in a certain way. That's what the role requires. So if this job will require me to look pristine, professional, then that's how I should present myself. That's how you should present yourself when you're going through the interview process. This role is a professional role, and we wear uniforms for a reason because they want us to have a certain look. Your posture should exude confidence and professionalism during your flight attendant interviews, as well as your interaction with others during the in-person interview or the event day. So even how you stand, how you walk, how you sit, you have to make sure you look as professional as possible. Because mind you, like I said, you're selling yourself. I do have another video where I talked specifically about the in-person interview or the event day. So definitely do check that out. I'll probably insert the thumbnail here so you can at least see the thumbnail. That will be the thumbnail on the video that I'm talking about, so you can check it out. But when it comes to marketing yourself, it applies whether it's the in-person or the virtual or online interview. Either way, you have to position your brand in a way that you want to be perceived and in a way that mimics what that position requires from you. The next thing I would like to talk about is asking questions. For any interview, whether it's to become a flight attendant or what, no matter what interview you go to, make sure you have questions. Make sure you have questions. Ask questions not because you have to, but because you genuinely want to know more, like pay, schedule, training, the real life of a flight attendant, among others. If you're interested in career growth, ask. I would rather you ask those questions so you get the answers you're looking for before you even decide to take the conditional job offer, because just because you're going to get a job offer doesn't necessarily mean that you're required to accept that offer anyway. So ask the necessary questions. I remember during my in-person interview, when I had the one-on-one session, I honestly wanted to know how the job was. And luckily for me, the person that was doing the interview at that time was also a flight attendant. So I personally asked them about their journey, like how has it been for them since they started? And they even shared the fact that they started from this base, ended up transferring to another base for whatever reasons they had. So we actually had a conversation. It wasn't more so you asked me and I answered. I asked them how long it took them to be off of 8 days or reserve, how long it typically takes, how is the job being commuting, is it realistic, like how effective has it been for her, how was her lifestyle lifestyle merging with this career, how that worked out for her. So I honestly wanted to know the real deal. And this is an opportunity for you to be as honest and as authentic as possible. You have to have at least 3 questions. Before I proceed, the thing is that when you're going through an interview process, right, the person that is interviewing you, in as much as the process has been set up to be as objective as possible, to me, I believe there's a level of subjectivity to it. There's a drop, even if it's just a dime. There's some kind of subjectivity to it. So sometimes I feel like if the interviewer doesn't necessarily connect with you, that can prevent them from moving you to the next stage, or how they view all the other responses you give to whatever objective questions that you're being asked. So try as much as possible to connect with the interviewer. And I feel like a way by which you can do that is asking questions. As you're going through the interview process to become a flight attendant, we have to be confident. You have to be confident in yourself. Be confident in yourself and trust in your abilities and capabilities. Regardless of how others might show up, you have to believe that you're worthy to become a flight attendant. Simply put, be sure about yourself. We did not come here to play, y'all. Thousands of people apply to become flight attendants. When my airline opens up the portal for the flight attendant position, when they post that job, they get thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of applications, to the extent that the website literally sometimes crashes or becomes so slow because of so much traffic being directed there. But I am here to tell you now that you have to be confident, and I said this in my other video when I talked about the in-person interview process. You have to believe that you being moved to the next step, getting to the next level to do the virtual interview, moving on to the next step to do the in-person interview, that at each point something good is being noticed about you. You're possessing some kind of skill, some kind of aura, whatever it is that they want to know more. That's why they keep moving you forward and forward. So you have to believe in yourself. At this point, you have to trust and believe that you are who you are, or you are who you think you are, okay? And go pop out and show out. Because if you don't believe in yourself, it's going to show in how you interact with people. It's going to show in how you speak. There is the kind of responses you give to questions that you're being asked. If you're not confident in your skills, how are you going to be able to sell them or market it to the person you're interviewing to? Your body language is very important, and your body language should scream, I am confident that I am worthy to be here and I'm going to get this conditional job offer, or CJO. Last but not the least, identify your why. Why do you want to become a flight attendant? You have to be able to honestly answer that question. This job can be a lot or is a lot, and knowing why you want to do this is very, very important, because when things get hard, your why will keep you going. Plus, you might be asked this question during the interview process. I was asked this question. I believe I was asked this question during the online interview, the virtual interview. And you have to have an honest response to this question. Note that everyone's journey is different. Ensure you give your all at all times. Never underestimate your strength or your ability. Know that thousands of people, like I said, are applying for the same position you are. So you have to do whatever you can to stand out. That starts from your resume to how you sell yourself or market yourself, and how you interact with other people during the in-person interview. You have to make sure that you're standing out. Also, note that just because you do not get your conditional job offer or your CJO on the first attempt does not mean you will not get it on the next attempt. So do not be discouraged. I know I see a lot of you comment going through the process and not getting your CJO, and hard and as difficult as that may sound, if you really want it, go ahead and apply again. And I do also want to say that in as much as I love my airline or the airline that I'm with, I appreciate being there. Do your research to figure out all the airlines that you potentially want to work for. Figure out their pay, their benefits, what people who work at this airlines are talking about. Like, how are they, what kind of experiences they're sharing. Like the way I share my experience, let that guide you in terms of figuring out, let's say, your top 5 airlines. I applied to one airline, but that was because I was oblivious to the fact that this was a whole competition going on, okay? I was not aware, okay, that it was a whole big deal. I just thought I was just applying to any other company like I've done in the past, okay? I didn't know it was that deep. I didn't know it was that serious. But I say this to say that you don't necessarily have to apply to one airline. And if you get one and not the other, just figure out one you got the offer from, the benefits you would get from working with them. If you think it's good enough, go ahead and work with them. You don't have to work at the same airline that I'm working with. Honestly, if I knew that it was a big deal, I probably would have applied to other airlines. but I didn't know then. And luckily for me, I was able to get it on my first attempt. So it is what it is. Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.